This episode contains discussions of trauma, violence, and difficult life experiences. Colorful language not excluded. Listener discretion is advised. I'm Elizabeth Porter. After 20 years working as a lawyer with families, abuse, and mental health, I'm done ignoring the patterns. It's time for hard conversations that build awareness, create compassion, and change lives. Welcome to Law and Porter.
I got a call from the surgeon himself, and he said, "I'm so sorry to have to tell you this. It did come back as triple negative breast cancer." We were in the stairwell, and my husband stopped and just grabbed me. And I think in that moment, I felt for the first time like it could get me. I am grieving who I used to be. I was the mother who was at all the things. And I miss that version of me. I miss that mom for my kids.
Okay, so Amber, I want you to take me back to the moment when something told you your life was going to change. How old were you and what happened?
I was 26. I found a lump in my left breast. And I initially just went to see the OBGYN. And he was like, "You're 26 years old. It's not going to be a big deal." But I was not comfortable letting it go. And so he was like, "We'll just get some pictures. We'll do an ultrasound." And so we did an ultrasound, and they saw something, but still didn't think it was anything. Sent me to see a surgeon. The surgeon was like, and I will never forget this because he said, "I am 99.9% sure this is nothing." And he even gave me the option to not have surgery, like just let it be. We'll watch it, for a year and see if anything happens. He was that confident that it was nothing. And I wasn't. We were coming off of a cancer diagnosis in the family that was very significant. So we were all just very hypersensitive to it. And I was like, "No, we need to get it out. I just need peace of mind. I have these kids, my husband, And so we scheduled surgery on a Thursday, and we thought nothing else about it. I was so young at the time that I didn't, I think, really understand the significance of, we're taking this out, we will test it and find out for sure. Like, in my very young, immature brain, I didn't register that until it was a Friday afternoon. It had to be like 4 o'clock. I got a call from the surgeon himself, and he said, "I'm so sorry to have to tell you this." And I just started bawling because what? And he said, "It did come back as cancer, triple negative breast cancer." And I called my husband into the room, and I was like, "I have cancer. It was cancer. It's cancer." And he too was just like, how is this happening? Everybody was so sure that it was nothing. And then all of a sudden it was like, it's something big.
In retrospect, do you think it would have, I understand the need for giving you hope in that moment, but was it a little too much hope?
Yes. Not so much me, but my husband kind of carried a little bit of a grudge over that for a while. And then even when I was diagnosed the second time, he had a little bit of an attitude with the surgeon because he was like, "Have you done something wrong? Is that the reason that this is happening again?" But we just kind of prayed through that, and I was like, "You can't have that attitude. This is part of a different plan. This has nothing to do with the surgeon." But yeah, we both were kind of like, we wish we had been given a better full picture in the beginning that we don't think this is anything, but if this is something, right, this is what you're about to face.
Right.
Because we had no idea at all.
So your first round with breast cancer, what was the treatment plan?
I did a double mastectomy, so bilateral. And then once I did that and recovered from that, I did reconstruction, and we got 2 opinions, and both felt like I didn't need to do chemo because of the size of it. It was stage 1, very small, and so both oncologists agreed that chemo was not necessary at the time.
Even with that say not drawn out process. It's still cancer. But without treatment, how much of a chunk of your life did that emotional weight take? How long did that last?
It was tough. That because I had a 5-year-old, he had just started kindergarten, and a 3-year-old. And I was very much that mom who was doing all the things at all the places. The house needed to be perfect. I was a teacher, the job, the kids needed to be taken care of. I wanted to be the perfect wife. My husband was working in the oil field at the time. So in a lot of ways, I was kind of like a single mom, just because he wasn't there physically. And so when that happened, and for 8 to 10 weeks, I was completely knocked down, because when you have a bilateral mastectomy, I mean, they just cut everything. All those muscles are cut. It takes a while before you're able to function again. And then I went from that recovery straight into reconstruction, which was something that I thought I really wanted at the time. And so my mom actually moved in with us during that initial time frame to help me once my husband went back to work, because it was a lot.
You mentioned thinking that you needed the reconstruction at the time, which tell me what that thought process was back then.
I was young. At that time, appearance really mattered to me. It was even a big deal that I wanted to go bigger, when we got the reconstruction. And I look back at that now and I'm just like, thank goodness for maturity and clear eyes now, because that didn't matter.
But was it also kind of part of reclaiming it? Like, if
Yes.
I had to go through this, then this is how I'm going to come out better.
Yes, very much so.
And it's a part of your identity, I think.
Yes, it was. Because without it, which I am now, without it, you do feel a little bit different as a woman, because that's a big part of what, makes us look like women.
And even if it weren't, which to everyone else, it's your body, you're used to it. They've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Whether they got in the way or not, you're kind of used to them. So you kind of reclaim that with the reconstruction.
Yeah.
And then was life smooth sailing for a little while?
For a little while. I came out of that with like a completely different outlook on life. And I know people say that, but I truly, truly did. I've always been a believer in Christ. I grew up in church. My mama made sure we were in church. If you were sick, you threw up and then you went to church. I mean, I had that kind of childhood, and I'm thankful for that now. But this experience, that initial diagnosis, is when I just really and truly became a follower. And I was like, okay, I see. My eyes are open. Show me what I need to do now. And I just really not only threw myself into that and my relationship with Christ, but also just making sure that my priorities were right. Dishes were on the sink, and that was okay. I was going to read a book with my kid, or, if there was laundry in the dryer, it didn't have to be done before I went to bed, because those were all things that I would stress myself. I would cry about, if I went to bed and the house was dirty, I would be sick to my stomach. And coming out on the other side of that, you're just like, that does not matter. That truly does not matter. Let me focus on what's important right now.
It took so much, and it also gave you so much back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've always said that initial diagnosis really changed my life. It truly did. And for the better.
Do you think it has the opportunity to give everyone that perspective? Mm-hmm. We just would have to be willing to slow down and look for the meaning in it?
Yes. I think my husband tells me that I am a toxic optimist. I try to see the good in everything at all times. And so I think maybe that made it easier for me to take on that perspective. But it is hard, and it is scary, and it is dark. So I completely understand if someone's not able to, With some of the later diagnoses, it's been harder for me to keep that perspective. But in the beginning, I was just like, okay, I'm ready. Let's live this new life now. I can do this.
So ignorance was bliss. Yes. You beat it once.
Yeah.
And then how long was that honeymoon period?
So they say at 5 years, you're good. If you're going to have a recurrence, it's going to be before 5 years. And so I hit the 5-year mark, and we rejoiced, like party, dinner with family, that kind of stuff. And then right before 6 years, I was camping with our family. Like, I can't even go back to this place now because I have PTSD. But I was just changing clothes one morning, and it was literally like overnight I had another knot. And I got up and went to work, messaged my doctor, and my oncologist is amazing. He was like, get in here and let's check it out. And I knew once he saw me and once he felt it, I've been seeing him long enough that I knew that it was going to be something significant. But yeah, 6 years. So I went past the safe phase where you kind of breathe a little bit.
I was wondering if you ever got to that point where you felt like you could just, it felt like it was in the past.
Yeah. Like I felt like, okay, we're past it. We can move on. And then all of a sudden it was back again.
So at the second diagnosis, what was the treatment plan?
We decided that I would do 4 rounds of what they call Red Devil, and then 4 rounds. That doesn't
sound good.
It's awful.
I'm just going to go ahead and interrupt and say that does not sound good. What is Red Devil?
It is a type
sounds like a ski slope.
It is a type of chemo, and it's probably the most potent for breast cancer. I was so sick. I was hospitalized multiple times when I was doing that treatment. That was the first time I lost my hair. I didn't lose it the first go around because we didn't do chemo. So I did 4 rounds of that, lost my hair, went through all that, and then 4 rounds of Taxol, which is another chemo. Did another surgery, of course, because they have to go in and get that lump and then also get the area around it because they want to make sure they get clear margins. So we recovered from another surgery. And then did the treatments. But the different thing about that time was that it was during COVID. And so not only at that time was I experiencing something new as far as treatment-wise, but I had to do it by myself. I wasn't allowed to, where now my husband or my mom are at every single treatment. They're not allowed to stay the whole time, but they're in there with me, in and out. I had to go by myself. If they went, they had to wait in the parking lot. So it was very isolating. And then also the times that I was hospitalized, which were several times during that experience, I couldn't have visitors. My family couldn't come see me. That was hard. I always say those were the dark days for me. And it was mostly because of COVID, because I think when you're isolated, it's really hard to see the sunshine sometimes.
There's no one around you to make you laugh. It's kind of like if you can't pull it from somewhere within you, it's not there.
Yeah. No.
I have a couple of technical questions that I would like to know the answer to. If you've had a double mastectomy and you've had reconstructive surgery, it is not your own breast tissue anymore at some point.
Right.
Where does the cancer develop and how?
That time it developed in the same area under my armpit.
Okay.
So it was a little further over than what it had been the first time. But also even though they say it's a mastectomy, there's always some leftover tissue.
Right.
And we learned that in between my first and second diagnosis, I had a little girl. And after, even though, I don't know if this is too technical, but when you have a mastectomy, like you can choose to have them take nipples and everything. Mm-hmm. But when I had her, even though I'd had the mastectomy, I filled up with milk, and I shouldn't have. And so when I questioned that, I was like, there's something still left in there. They were like, you can never get 100%. So we knew there was still tissue in there. I know, that's wild.
So was it able though, like to fill up your whole breast?
No.
Okay, but
it was just enough pressure that it hurt. It was painful.
Had you experienced that in your other births?
Yes.
So you were familiar with that feeling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there was no way to relieve it. It was almost like I just had to wait it out.
Which I didn't have that experience, but I heard was very painful.
It is very painful. And we immediately questioned my oncologist. We were like, hey, I understand what the surgeon said, but let me tell you what's happening with my body.
Oh, wow.
And that's when he said, there's no way to get 100%. I mean, there's just no way.
How was compare for me losing your hair and losing your breasts? Were they both traumatic? And if so, equally or different?
In the beginning, I think it was harder for me to lose my breast. I was dreading losing my hair until I lost it. And then I was like, it is what it is, You can wear wigs. I have a couple. I don't wear them because I'm so hot-natured. I have hot flashes. But in the beginning, it was definitely losing the breast for me. And even later on, I ended up having all my implants and things taken out. And that was kind of like an identity crisis of sorts. I mean, I didn't have hair at the time, but I still had my breast. I was still a woman.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
So COVID, you do the Red Devil.
Yeah.
Sounds horrible. Frequent hospitalizations, that's 2020. At this point, you have 3 kids. How old was your youngest?
When I was diagnosed that time, she was 2.5.
So again, lifting, dealing with surgery, all that.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So tell me about this run. How long did that treatment last? And then how long did that process take?
So that was 2020. And that was probably like a year and a half long process before I was supposedly in remission. I just keep going back to, I don't think you ever are. I think just once it's in there, it's in there. But then in 2023 is when we found it again. It showed up again, and it was wild that time because I didn't have a lump or a knot or anything. I just had terrible pain. And I would tell my oncologist, I was like, look, I'm just hurting terribly. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just, these muscles are messed up now or it's nerves. But something's not right. And so I went through probably a 6 to 8 month span of just telling him, something is not okay in there. And he's phenomenal. So even if he didn't think something was wrong, he was going to listen to me. And he said, okay, let's get some pictures. And sure enough, it showed up on the scan, and it had moved into my chest wall, which is a little bit different. It makes things look a little different because now it's on the move. It's not just in that breast area anymore.
I wondered if that were, I guess, still technically breast, or it is what's it called? Is it breast cancer?
Mm-hmm. It's still considered breast cancer, just it's called METs. So I have METs in my lungs and in my chest wall.
Was there any honeymoon period prior to that? You said about a year and a half of treatment. Did you get some breathing room there?
Yeah, my hair even started to grow back out. I called it the summer of Amber because we did nothing but sports that summer. Our little girl and our son were both busy doing stuff, and it was just a great summer until it wasn't.
I know you said that your darkest times were during COVID in 2020, but how do you go through a third diagnosis and not feel totally defeated?
I think, and I use this demonstration all the time. You see that meme, and it's the owl, and he's on the fence post, and there's rain just slapping him in the face, and he's just kind of like this. I feel like that's me. I'm just kind of in survival mode, and I have been since 2023. It doesn't feel as dark because I don't let myself feel it as much. I just keep thinking we've got to get through to the other side. We've got to get through to the other side.
Have there been those days of, why me? I can't keep going.
Absolutely. And I have very few people will hear that side of me. just because I have 4 kids and they need to know that you don't give up and you don't make excuses. You just fight through things. But my husband, my sisters, my mom, they've definitely all heard the pity party, and they all let me feel it. But then they're all quick to say, buck up. You know, we have more to do. There's more work to do. But yeah, there are those days. And I went through, and I know that you're someone who initially saw my TikToks. I went through a stage about a year ago, and that's why I quit making TikToks. I was like, I didn't have it in me to be perky anymore because it was just dragging out. All the other episodes had been, a year, but this one has just continued to roll on. And I just woke up one day and I was like, I don't feel happy anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle for me because I am someone who is happy all the time. And that's why I quit doing TikTok, because if I could not spread a positive message, I didn't want to spread a message at all at the time.
Well, I think too, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like if you just have a little ounce of positivity, you just would choose to use it somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Like with your family or your kids.
Absolutely.
Make it a TikTok or putting yourself out there.
Definitely.
So I'm really, honestly, not that I'm losing count, but the third, what was it? Treatment all over again. So this is your chest.
Yeah, the third, we did the surgery to remove it. I did treatment again. I went and saw another surgeon in Meridian. He is one of the best in Mississippi. My oncologist originally wanted me to go to MD Anderson, and we reached out, and they don't take our insurance. And so the initial visit was going to be $9,000 for us to more than likely get the same diagnosis, the same treatment plan we already had. And I was like, no, any time that I have needs to be spent with my kids. I can't spend that time away from my kids going all the way out there to get the same answers. And so we opted for a different route, and I went and saw another surgeon in Meridian, and he agreed we should do an additional surgery, which my surgeon here didn't think we should. But I followed his suggestions, and we did another surgery with him, which meant another recovery period. And then when I was done recovering from that, and I had done all the treatments for that particular diagnosis, I had a blood test done that is supposed to tell you if you have any cancer cells floating around in your body, in your bloodstream. And I just finished treatment, and my scans were looking okay. And so I expected, good news. And then it came back and it said no. There were, but at that time they were so small you couldn't see them. We had no idea what to do because we didn't know what we were fighting. And so that was right before summer of 24. And I spent that entire summer we did lots of fun stuff because I knew it was coming back. I knew it wasn't gone for good.
How do you keep going when you're having those feelings?
My faith, honestly. Just knowing. I'm sorry. I wasn't going to cry.
Well, I plan to cry.
I think just knowing that, one, if anything happened to me, I know where I'm going. And that is the ultimate, relief. And two, knowing that my kids, which are my everything, are going to be okay regardless. Would they miss their mom? Absolutely. But I have a fantastic husband. He is the most amazing dad to my kids. They have aunts and uncles galore, my mom. And so on the days when it's the hardest, and I'm like, what are we going to do now? I just remind myself it's going to be okay. Either way. If I'm here and I get to be a mom and I get to be a wife and I get to fight another day, praise the Lord. If the day comes where I don't have that opportunity, I know where I'm going to be. So praise the Lord.
And somewhere in there, you had another baby, right?
Yeah, we did. When I was diagnosed in 2020, 2021, she was 9 months old. So she was brand new. And we laugh about it now, but she was a mama's baby through and through. Could not stand my mom. My mom is one of the most lovable people you'd ever meet in your life. And so I was going through treatments, going through surgeries, and we had this brand new baby who was just, I say now, God sent her to keep me going because, she's constantly on the go. We had this brand new baby, and my mom was having to help us because my husband still had to work. I mean, that's something that people don't talk about, but cancer costs. So my mom would come help me with the baby, and the baby couldn't stand her.
Yeah.
Like she'd have to put her in the swing, not facing her, where she couldn't see her, and she'd have to take her outside in the stroller and make sure she didn't know it was her pushing her. So looking back now, it's funny, but that was hard because there was my baby crying for me, and I couldn't hold her. I couldn't pick her up like I wanted to. I was sick a lot of the time. So now it's funny, and we laugh about it, but it was really hard at the time.
Would 26-year-old Amber have ever believed she was strong enough to confront things over and over like you have?
No, I have always, or growing up, I was always just kind of introverted, stuck to myself, was kind to everyone, but just kind of always took the quiet path. And I've had to really step out of that persona and become Amber the fighter. We're going to make this happen. We're going to take it one day at a time, and we're going to kick it. So that has been, and I've also had to really speak up and become an advocate for myself, because I do believe that you are your best advocate, and science and scans and technology can all, be top tier, but they don't know what's happening inside your body, and you do. And on more than one occasion, I feel like if I had not really spoken up for myself, I would be in a much different position right now.
From the very beginning?
Yeah.
In all the emotions that you've had, can you tell me about what I would expect to be grief? Do you have grief?
Yes. I actually just spoke about this to my sisters recently. You grieve, or I grieve. I have grieved. I am grieving who I used to be. Not only like as a mother, because like I said, I was the mother who was at all the things. I didn't miss a function. I didn't miss a field trip. My oldest son is a senior this year, and I've missed a couple show choir shows just because I can't, not only the germs, but I physically can't sit there that long anymore. And I miss that version of me. I miss that mom for my kids. I miss the wife who had dinner cooked every day when my husband got home, not because he expected it, but because that's my love language, is having dinner ready for my husband. And he doesn't care, but it matters to me. It makes me feel less than, probably more so than anything physically, like looking at me. It's just missing who I am as a wife, as a mom, as a sister, as a daughter. I have a job that I love. I'm just so passionate about, and I'm not able to be there in person. Everything that I do is from home right now. And I work with kids, and if you've ever worked with kids, you know that they just bring so much joy to your life.
And germs.
And germs. That's why I can't be there. And so I miss that part of my life. I miss those little hands and those little smiles. And I definitely
grieve
who I used to be. I'm proud of who I am now. I'm proud of not giving up and just trying to continue day by day, regardless of what that looks like. But I definitely miss who Amber used to be.
I think it's interesting when I have these conversations with people and you teach me these little things I might not realize or make them more obvious, but women's identities are so rooted in service. And or in activity, in motion, in seeing needs that need to be met and how we perceive they need to be met. And whether it's that your husband wanted the home cooked meal or that was the way, what you felt like your role was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the things that you pictured life as a wife and mother to be. And when you strip those away,
who am I?
Who am I?
Yeah. That's, my sisters will laugh at me because on a good day, I'll send them pictures where I've like made bread and I've cooked a casserole and there's a pie in the oven and I'm like, oh, you're having a good day, you're cooking, because they know like that's what I do. That's how I love on my family. So yeah, when I'm not able to do those things, and for the most part, I'm in the recliner most of the day, there's a lot of guilt that comes there too. Not only am I not, proud of myself in that moment, but there's guilt that my kids are not getting the best mom, my husband's not getting the best wife. There's a lot of that.
It's forced you, because what I see on the outside looking in is to take care of you. And women aren't naturally doing that.
No.
And it feels probably selfish and it feels probably lazy.
Absolutely. It feels lazy. I say that a lot, and my husband is quick to correct me, and he's like, hey, we want you to sit down because when you get up, you ask us to do chores. So please.
If you're resting, we can all rest.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So now you are still in the middle of a battle.
Yeah. After 23, when I finished all those treatments, I bugged him to death. I know my oncologist, after I got those test results, I was just constantly, every little thing that was happening, I was telling him, I'm having pain here, I'm hurting here. And pain is not typically the sign of breast cancer. But I just knew something was not right. And so once the summer was over, and part of me looking back, I feel like he knew what was coming because he kept telling us, go have fun. Go have fun this summer. Go do things. Go spend time with your family. And now looking back, whereas in the moment I thought he was telling me to just stay active, looking back, I think he has seen enough to know what was coming for me. And he wanted me to have that time where I felt decent still. But anyway, in 24, we finally did more pictures, and it showed up again in the chest wall. And then initially I had, I think, 5 spots in my lungs. And when we met about those results, when I met with him after that scan result, that's the first time in all these years that I ever asked him, how long? Because if it's moving now, it's more serious, and I know that. And so I did. I said, I just need you to tell me. It was my husband and I, and he said, if you respond well to treatment, 1.5 years probably, and if not, we're looking at something different because we're running out of options. I've had all the chemos at this point. And that day, that was one of the hard days. Leaving, we were in the stairwell and my husband stopped and just grabbed me. And that's not something that he does. We handle everything with humor at our house, which may not be healthy, but that's what we do. And I think in that moment, I felt for the first time like it could get me. I don't know, maybe I was just too naive to ever think that before. But standing there with my husband, I felt like cancer's going to take me out. And that was hard.
I don't know that anyone knows the right way. How did you move forward? Was it with acceptance? Was it with or was it with more fight or
Both.
kicking and screaming? How do you take the next breath, much less go home and
Yeah.
act normal?
Yeah. And which we did not tell our kids that at first. We're very open with them, but I did not want them to go that whole year dreading the day that Mom wasn't there anymore. I immediately started making plans for when I wasn't here.
Did that give you a sense of control, though? Even if it's also a way of processing?
Absolutely. And in my mind, I was taking something off my husband's
Right.
plate, which was allowing me to be helpful. You know, that was something he wasn't going to have to do. He wasn't going to have to worry about it. It's paid for. I have this book, and he laughs at me because the front says something like, oh no, I'm gone. Here are the passwords. And it's like all the passwords to all the things, all the accounts, even down to our kids' birthdays. Like,
Just in case you panic.
please don't forget our kids' birthdays. But yeah, I just started making plans because I wanted to be responsible. And I think I was so focused on doing that I at first didn't completely process. Wow, just like, this is tough. This is going to be tough. But I will say, we started treatment immediately. There are so many spots it wasn't going to be beneficial to do surgery because I would have so much damage to my lungs at that point because they're just all over. So we just immediately started treatment, and I'm over a year, and we're still rocking and rolling. I just finished treatment number 44 this past week, which is just, my oncologist the time before last was like, wow, I can't believe we're here. I was like, you, me? I can't believe we're here. We are still seeing growth, which is discouraging.
Sure.
But it's small and it's slow. So that's hopeful. As much faith as I have, I don't really foresee an Amber that's cancer-free ever again. But because I know that, I'm just kind of taking it day by day. We live day by day, moment by moment. The good moments, we take pictures. And the bad moments, we just try to block them out. So
I think that's as healthy coping strategy as any.
that's all we can do.
I think, have you been able to recognize the gift in the reminder of our humanity, that it is limited?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I never thought I was immortal, but I think just, especially that first diagnosis, I was so young. Like, who dies from cancer at 26, And now, every single day, literally every single day is a gift. I never know when I'm going to go and, they're going to be like, there's nothing else we can do. Or the treatments themselves are going to get me. They mess with your heart. They cause all kinds of problems. And so I'm probably hypersensitive. My family says I'm very dark. My humor has become very dark. Because if one of the boys smart mouths me or something, I'm like, what if that's the last thing you ever get to say to me? And they're like, Mom, that's sick.
But it's so not untrue.
It's exactly. I'm constantly kind of trying to, if they argue with one another, I'm like, you have no idea if that could be your last conversation with your sibling. Just none of us know. I'm hypersensitive to the fact, but none of us know.
Would you go back and trade who you are now for who you thought you were going to be without all this?
No. And that's crazy to say, but I think it has made me a better person. I try to be kind. I try to love everyone. I fail daily, but I try to be a light for the Father because I think He's the only reason I've come this far. I mean, I just feel like all the odds are against me right now. So He has to have some kind of plan still left for me. But I wouldn't go back because she was tired. At 26 years old, she was tired and she was worn out and she was stressing over all the wrong things. And her marriage was fragile because they worked in different places. And now we're just, I always say, cancer made our marriage what it is now. Like he's my best friend. Like, he's my everything. And I don't know that we would be that way before. So no, I wouldn't change it. Maybe I would taken out a couple bumps in the road, but
Right.
I wouldn't change it.
Do you think that one of those factors for the impact on your marriage was forcing you into dependence on another person? I mean, you couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
You couldn't make it go away. You couldn't work it away.
Yeah.
And you had no choice but to be reliant and to force him to,
Yeah, slow down. And I've never thought of it like that, but absolutely. Because he used to tell me when we were younger that I was way too stubborn, did too many things on my own, Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think also just having it put in your face. If you love this person, get it together because you're about to face something that you're not ready for. So definitely, I think so.
What are some things that you have done as a parent to make sure you preserve yourself or your children's childhood, the stories, their memories of you that other parents are just, there are parents out there who are not going to make it through the week, but they think they have unlimited time.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
So something that I started the last diagnosis, not this one, but the last, was I set up an email account and I send my kids emails. So like if they have a day where they've done something awesome, I'll just send them a little note and just remind them how proud they made me that day. Or if we had a day where maybe we just weren't G-hawing, I'll send them an email and just say, I hope you don't remember this day because this day didn't matter, So they have, one of my sisters has the email and the password to give them if something were to ever happen to me. But I've also filled out books. You can buy little books that you just write down things you want them to know and remember and about yourself and them. And I've done that for each of them.
Was it hard to do? Like just to pause and process it and do it?
Yeah. But I think because we had dealt with, my husband was still fairly young when my mother-in-law passed away. I think we were 21, 22. I don't remember. But I look at him now and losing his mom at that age, he wishes he had more, just more. And we were very close to her, but it's never enough. And so I just want to give them everything that I can. And it may not be something that they initially could even look at, but one day when they want to look back and maybe hear mom's words or look at mom's thoughts or just remember how dark mom got sometimes.
Mom's twisted sense of humor.
Yes, it'll be there and they'll have that. And I intend to do videos, but I can't do it yet.
I think I also lost a parent very young. And other parents out there who don't have an awareness of how fragile life is, or like you said before, caught up in the cleanliness of the home, all the activities, the nonstop, travel sports. And I've tried to parent in a way that is not what I long for in having known more of my dad, or what I wish we had. I
Yeah.
wish it would be the sound of his voice. Or if this dilemma comes up, how would he have processed it and worked through it? So
Yeah.
it sounds to me like those are exactly the things I would have wanted to know.
Yeah.
And it's the little it's the who that person was, not
Yeah.
what their calendar looked like.
Yeah.
Or how routine or structured the home environment was. It wasn't those things. So now, do you think that your children will be able to have a richer childhood because of this experience?
I think it has made them mature beyond their years. Our oldest, who is a senior this year, he's 17. The wisdom and the maturity that he shows right now, it is unreal to me. And I think that what they have been through has shaped them into who they are now. As much as we hate it, and as much as I wish they had not had to go through it, they are kind children. They are children who try to include other people. I think sometimes they see things differently than other people because they know what it could be like. Our oldest is looking toward ministry, and I don't know that he would be there if he had not seen God work in all these ways in our life. So I try to always think, as hard as it's been, there's always a plan. And it's a perfect plan, even if we sometimes don't understand it.
Do you have any regrets?
Oh, I think everybody does. I don't have any regrets as far as my cancer journey. I have regrets like normal people regrets, things I've said, things I haven't said, things I wish I had done. But as far as right now, I feel like I'm living my life to the fullest. Just going back to our twisted humor, like, it doesn't, day to day we do what we want to do right now, and we just say we may not have tomorrow, might as well do it today. So I'm trying to live with no regrets. I don't think if it's possible for anybody to, unless you just have that YOLO from the get-go, but I'm trying hard to not live with regrets.
Has this changed your definition of strength?
Yes, absolutely. Prior to this, strength was doing everything myself, not asking for help ever, because it made me look like I wasn't a good enough mom or a good enough wife or a good enough teacher. Now I know that it takes much more strength to ask for help. Hey, can you help me with my kids? I can't get my head out of the toilet today. Would you help me by taking me to the grocery store because I can't drive anymore? Just learning to lean on people who truly want to be there for you, who are really in your corner. That is now strength to me. It's not just about fighting cancer. It's about learning to really embrace your tribe, because those are the people who really want to see and do well for you. So I think that has become more of a definition rather than trying to do everything myself. It's understanding that I can reach out to people and I can ask for help.
If you could talk to the 26-year-old Amber with a head full of hair and the one size too small breasts, what would you tell her?
You're perfect. You're perfect.
Would you prepare her?
Yeah. Life is going to get hard, but everybody has their own version of hard, and yours might seem harder than everybody else's, but you can do it. You can face it. Lean on your family, lean on your friends, and you can do it. Keep your faith. at the forefront. And that's all we do.
I'm going to accept that as just a wonderful ending and not go any further on the things that are going to make me bawl. Thank you to our sponsor, Porter Law Group, for supporting these conversations. When family is on the line, experience matters. Porter Law Group specializes in custody and family law with compassion at every step. Visit porterlaw.ms now to schedule your consultation to protect what matters most.